information is off the table.
Okay. All right. Yes. That was I felt like I went to either a confessional that night or therapy. A lot of shit came out. It was good though. It was good. It was a good time.
So no more dying, Kevin. Well done.
No, done.
It's good.
I'm fine. I'm trying to, I don't get hit on as much by gay guys, but that's okay.
There we go. We gotta get some jokes in there, definitely. So
Yeah.
we're here. Kane's. I'm sorry, 3 up, 3 down. I don't know. We'll see where it goes here. We're gonna do our 3 up, 3 down. Interesting show. We're gonna try to base it around the KMS top 50 list. See where it goes. We got Freddy Lynn on. Freddy he's been having a nice week. Got to give it to him. He's a great fan. He's one of the few guys that gets under my skin. I shouldn't admit that, but it's only because he's got a lot of info. He brought out a great fact today on the GVE show. I don't know if you heard it, Kevin.
No.
You were bowling, so go ahead, lay it out for us. The Florida thing that you said.
This is so boring. If you drive from
good stuff, Kevin.
It's so boring.
Trust me. I know what's going on. Come
on. Let's work through the process. It's okay.
There you go. Freddy.
If you drive from Key West to LA, you're driving in the state of Florida for 28% of the drive. It's so boring.
That's pretty cool. Like a third of the drive is in Florida from Key West. I don't know. I thought it was cool. Anyway.
I drove cross country 4 times.
Wow.
So I'm from Rhode Island, lived in California, and I did the drive.
The
last time solo.
Okay. Yeah, we know you're an LA guy, right? So
for a blip.
Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
No. Let's get into it. Let's I want to know what happened, the process, how we got where we are, how I got so fucking high on the list, what's going on.
We're gonna be asking those questions. So Freddy was an architect of the list. He still hasn't released his full list, which I find very odd. He's holding that thing tight to the vest. I am so interested in knowing your list because I actually think you were a perfect pick for the committee. Mama K was kind of a wild card. Menors was, of course, going to be at the top, and then Ned Snark. He's going to come on Kane's Corner, he said, and explain his side of the story. But we're here to get Freddy's side of the story. You've explained it a few times. I've heard you talk about it, but now this will be a show that Kirk actually listens to, so you can get it all out there right now. Just kind of, why don't you just take us from the beginning of how you built your list? Did you take it from the old list and kind of, go from there, or did you come up with just a list off the top of your head and just went with it?
So I'll start with how the final list came to be, right?
Okay.
There were 3 people on the committee, Ned, myself, and Mama K. Menors oversaw us. Menors didn't do his own list. The 3 of us did our own lists, right? And then
hold on. I'm sorry. Did you do them like on a chat together, or did you do them separately and then meet up with your own list separately?
Great
question.
We
did them independently by ourselves. We came up with our own top 50 lists. Then we put them in a shared Google Doc, and then from
three
there,
separate lists.
Okay. And then the average cumulative score or rank of each person on the list sort of fed into that final list. So the final list was a cumulative rank average of all of our lists.
So let's just get to it though. Yeah, it makes sense, but that doesn't define. You said it almost like makes it that way, but was there like a final decision maker? I know Menor's kind of said it, but do you feel like, was there anybody that you said should have been on there, and you think Menor's just rambled and changed it and fucked it over?
No, I wouldn't put it that way. So when we all came together with our own lists, we put them in the Google Doc, and then we had one phone call where we kind of said, hey, you have these people and I don't, or these people are missing from your list, and light bulbs went off and people added people. So after that first initial phone call, all of our lists grew a little bit, but the final feed, to the cumulative list sort of stayed the same. The process stayed the same.
How much time do you think you spent on the list, like actually thinking about it and putting it together? Because it feels kind of rushed. I understand it's not, we're not talking about,
with no reveal show, it seemed rushed. Yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed. I mean, I understand Menor's point. He's trying to get it out there and make a splash, and it worked. But it just seemed like you guys put it together kind of fast. I really don't think you had that much discussion about it, in my personal opinion. But maybe you can shed some light on how long it took you guys to kind of put this all together.
So I would agree that. Sorry, Kevin.
I mean, did anyone fight for Miltons? That's like
We'll get
pre-Kirk. That's Kirk on EI. It's Kirk now. Miltons is like the lifeblood that has supported the show, from day one. I was shocked that Miltons lost a slot.
Very odd.
Miltons is
off the list. To be off the list. Think about
Yeah.
that. So there has to be a reason why. I'm sure Freddy's going to shed some light on that.
Well, it's not a person. These were the top 50 most influential people or characters in the history of the show. So we agreed as a committee. It's just it shouldn't have been on there in the first place because it's not a person.
Do you think, though, maybe the list should have certain things that just transcend the people? Like maybe instead of having Stacy from Madawaska, we say, hey, that Madawaska show, even though it's not a person, it's such a big event, maybe it belongs on the list. Could Milton's fall into that category? You guys just didn't agree on that?
No, that is not within the spirit of the list.
Okay.
Okay, so it's strictly people. Because, Kane makes a good point. Madawaska 1 was like Woodstock.
Symbol, right? Exactly. It's just so important to the people drove up in that blizzard, the whole process of it, just the way it's talked about it in lore. It just seems like I don't know. I think that list. I think the criteria just wasn't hammered out still enough. I know it's
and I'll jump in there because that was one of the reasons. So when Menor's dropped the list, he gave us no warning. He just dropped it on a Saturday night. We were under the assumption we were going to have a reveal show. And it just never happened. And if that reveal show happened, we could say, here was the criteria. Here's how we came up with everything. But because that show never happened, like that opened up all these questions. Like, what's the criteria? Is it all time? Is it this year? Why did it just drop like that?
Why don't you lay out the complete criteria for us? Why don't you put it around the table right now? Because my list I've heard your criteria. I look at some of the names in the list and I'm like, I don't know if it completely fits. So can you just lay out what you think the criteria actually was?
So the show's been around for 5 years. So in the 5-year history of the show, which people or figures had the most impact on the main show, the Kirk Minahan show? Which people were the most important to the storylines? Which figures had the most influence on the conversation of Kirk's main show?
Okay. All right.
If aliens landed on the shore tomorrow and they just wanted to learn about the Kirk Minahan show, which 50 people would they need to know about to best understand the history of KMS?
So Kevin, if you had to pick a panel, would there be any? What do you think about who would be? Do you think Freddy, Lynn, Mama K, Ned Snark was good picks for the panel?
Yeah, I would make sure to have one, old school OG Minifan. I would have one maybe a Barstool and also Minifan person, and then I'd have a newbie. It seemed like there were two OGs. Freddie Lynn was kind of like the maybe from the fresher, newer blood. So maybe, no, it's a good thing.
No, it is funny. It's actually very funny you say that because some of the way, like I have some things written down here. One of the people
that hurt Freddie. It hurt you. That caught you deep, didn't it?
Well, okay.
It's all right. Don't worry.
Kevin, did you see? I tweeted out the 10 people that made the list that were not on my list, and then the 10 people that didn't make the list that I did have. Did you see that or no?
I saw it. I don't remember who it was exactly, but I saw it. Yeah,
because it was a lot of the newer people that made the list that I didn't have. One term keeps coming up, and it's called recency bias. There's a person from the committee that some people, well, I'm not going to give it away, but some people have called this person at times goddamn legless after a couple bottles of wine.
Okay, good. I like this.
I'm not going to give it away, but that person.
That's the word, legless. I like that
6
word.
6 through 10.
Mm-hmm. Ted Sellers? Jesus Christ, that's cruel.
6 through 10. Mutt, Montante, Coleman, Gus, and Clemmer. Mutt, Montante, Coleman, Gus, and Clemmer, 6 through 10.
Wow.
That's not an OG. Sorry. Coleman at 8.
That's
Gus
crazy.
at 9.
I love Coleman. Even Coleman knows that's crazy.
So that's why, so the cumulative rankings, when you see something like that, that means if Gus ended up at 20, someone had Gus at 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know who you should have put on, was really influential through the whole show, and it's been just amazing, is the Sopranos caller. I mean, that guy, had impact that cannot be measured. Am I right,
I
Freddie?
can't tell if you're making a joke or not because he was on my top 50 list.
I know.
Some of us
I
take
don't
this
know. So
pretty
that's what I mean. It's
seriously.
tough. It's tough because everybody has a little different feeling of. I love the Sopranos caller, so I like that, and that was a nice pick. But I think people are like, "Who the fuck is that?" But
I love the John Amos caller. That guy was
He was on my list too.
that's my kind of humor. That's my stuff. He was,
this is
but
why we want Freddie's list.
See, I had a guy like that who had, let's call it 10 or 12 great calls that they talked about and referenced for years.
Sure.
To me, that's more important than someone that sat in the third chair 7 times and just was kind of a mute. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No,
I heard Blind Mike say plenty of times, Kevin's never been on the show. You never been on the show,
So that's the other thing. That's not a criteria. I had people on my list, and I categorized them as influencers on Kirk and his life. I had Bruce, I had Howard Stern, and I had Freddie Couples. They've never. Well, Freddie was on the show, but like
Those were
Bruce and
extreme
Howard were
examples,
never
though.
on the show, but they drove so much conversation and influenced so many of the topics of the show over the years. To me, those are top 50 figures. I could be wrong. The committee didn't agree. That's why they didn't end up on the list.
Well, you have to ask yourself, is that influencing Kirk or the show? Because I mean, definitely you're right. Those influence Kirk, and in turn, is that enough to sway the show? Like, I mean,
if you listen back, they used to talk about Howard so much about some of the old stuff he used to do.
So this is where I'll agree with Freddie on that. I just think for Minifans, I think being on the show is pretty important. I mean, it's
not a Minifans list.
I get it. I'm saying if you're going to put Minifans on that list, they have to have, I think, in my opinion, well, we'll get into it, but I understand Fred Couples and those guys, but that's a different entity. We're talking about Minifans, people that are fans. I don't know if you're not going in and making impact in studio, then where are you doing it? And if you like, again, I'm going to give an example right now. Somebody like Tim Riggles. I like Tim Riggles. Most of the stuff we know about Tim Riggles happened off the show. I mean, most of his stuff, his antics, I feel like are in the network or are not part of the show. I'm not sure what impact he's ever made on the show, and I liked him, but him on a list to me is just an example of just dumbness. Like not having MHB on the fucking list and having Riggles on the list makes no sense. I mean, it's just crazy.
You got to experience Tim Riggles live. When you're with Tim live, you don't know what's going to happen next. That he's a live wire.
I agree, and I love Tim, but that doesn't impact the main show.
That's my point. He's really, I love the guy, but it's just not a. I don't know. I think he was high, but
like they talked about. I'll pick one I had. They talked about Benjamin Albright on the show 50 times more than they ever talked about Tim Riggles.
I agree. Great point. Albright's a big glaring off. Honestly, somebody like David from Hull. I mean, he's somebody to think about. He was on. He had a bunch of shows, and he was talked about a good amount on the show. I don't know. More than I think he had more impact than Tim Riggles.
That came in. That was in a wave or a block. Which is that enough though? I mean, it was. You're right. He had to do with Jeff, serving him at the place and getting the tips. It was a big storyline. Did it go on long enough to weigh the list? I mean,
probably
in my opinion, it probably does, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was a secondary storyline. I mean, it wasn't like I don't know. I didn't think it was a huge deal. I think Daver's in the top 100, but I don't. He's probably closer.
I'm just
to
saying,
60
like, I
than
can
he is
remember
to-
a story about Daver. I can't remember anything about Tim Riggles on the show, really. I don't remember anything that stands out. Maybe I'm wrong. You can, Freddie, you're the expert, but it just nothing stands out where I think about Daver and the gambling scheme, and he was on the show. He used to go on by himself with Kirk. He's very good on air. So I'm a big Daver guy. So he's a Rhode Island guy. So I'm gonna give him some love. But
so that's the other thing. My criteria, like me liking you, or if I think they're a good person, has zero weight if you're on the list. Like they could be my best friend, but if they don't have impact on the show, like that's all that matters.
That's why you're good for the role.
Good.
Like you have to.
I couldn't do that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I couldn't. So.
Ironically, you have to be sober and think about it in a box. Like
that's true.
Here's the criteria. Does it match?
A lot of people hate fucking sneakers. He belongs on that list.
Well, listen, one of my categories was it's like his best friend.
one of my categories is enemies. Like, you know, you had
Well, he's
Shirley.
not an enemy.
You had
I mean, every time Kirk looks at his phone, we know because Sneakers like that was me talking to him, and I actually believe him. It could be Sneakers. You know,
Yeah.
he does a lot of talking with it. He's a big piece of the history of the show for sure. I have no problem with him being on the list. The Wriggles is I don't know. But anyway, you want to start it now? Any more questions for him for Freddie? We know Mama
Yeah,
K's
well,
coming
and
on.
if
Go ahead.
if questions come up during the course of it, just
Sure.
let them flow.
How did you guys do as far as bouncing off each other, getting along together? Did you guys have any? Was there any backlash? Was there any?
So that's
There you go, Kevin.
that's a good question. So
Very good.
we submitted our lists individually into that Google spreadsheet. We had that call to say like, hey, tighten this up, add these people, whatever. And then we had a main call, like a video call with Menors, and that's the call that Ned missed. And that's the call that we were going to have our discussions about who we thought was going to go up and go down. And because Ned was not on the call, we were waiting and waiting and waiting before we really got into the main discussion. So by the time we realized Ned wasn't going to make it, it was more of a like, okay, we're just finalizing this the way it is. So there wasn't really that true banter about who deserves to be higher or lower. It was more like, let's go with the cumulative ranking. And then at the end, Menor swooped in and he moved Dale down 8 spaces and Polar up 8 spaces. That was a Menor's call.
Why was that? Did he mention why?
It was his
8
edict.
spaces? That's a lot.
I wanted to make an argument for Steve at 2. I had very good reasons.
Steve
Even
is
bringing
definitely 2.
me
It's not
even
even
bringing
questionable. It's really
me-
ridiculous to even fight that. He's 2
me
Go ahead.
even bringing that up. Menor said, "Well, that's not happening. Let's move
because
on."
he doesn't like him.
Yeah, so that's another Menor's edict.
I love
Yeah,
Mike, but he's 2.
Like to me,
Steve was
Steve.
like, yeah, he's like the John Hancock. He's like one of the
Wow,
original
there's no show.
of Minnehaha Independence. You know, I mean, he's massive, and he still shows up. And I mean, he's not totally into it, but whenever he shows up, it is appointment listening.
He's
To be honest,
foundational.
Steve walking off that show could be a moment of like a Madawaska because that was a huge, huge moment when he like quit on the air. That's crazy. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Freddie.
Steve
Sorry.
Robinson is foundational to the history of the show. He was producer for 23 months. In Cullinane's first stint as producer, he was 26 months. So there wasn't that big of a gap. But for Steve's first 18 months, it was 5 shows a week.
Yes,
And
right.
they didn't have any third chairs other than Blind Mike. They
That's
didn't
true.
have this cast of weirdos coming in to bounce shit off of. It was just Kirk, Steve, and Mike.
That's
Steve,
a little flex by you trying to show Kevin that you've been around, man. You're not Johnny come lately.
I know he's been around.
I don't need to prove anything, Kane. Like, but my point is, like, Steve was the second voice on the show, if not third voice, for that first 23 months. Mike was on the show for the first 15 months. Then he took 4 months off and only came in once or twice a week after.
Mike is a shell of himself than what he is now compared to then. Like back then, he was a very like he got the shit kicked out of him. He was very sensitive. Like if you go back and listen to those episodes, he's always on.
You're wrong.
Running.
You're wrong.
You think so?
Here's what Mike is now. Mike doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care as much. He's not as sensitive. But it's one of those things where because he doesn't care, he's fucking good. He's good.
Well, it's because he doesn't work for the show.
Genuine.
I think that helps.
I don't think he's let things get to him, which I think he's been great. I think Mike has been tremendous. And I'll say this about Steve Robinson. I'll say this. Steve was the only person, a regular on the show, who Kirk wasn't mentally superior to. And it was an odd dichotomy having 2 guys who, Steve's crazy, but he's very smart. You have Dave Cullinane and Kirk, he could mentally destroy him. Along with Justin, along with Gus, along with Coleman. Steve was the only guy who was there who could spar with Kirk, even though Steve was, different and quirky. He definitely, was closer to Kirk's level of.
He was an elite producer for sure. Unbelievable producer.
And
I love Coleman. I love Coleman.
Yeah, me too.
But Steve had something different.
In my case for Steve at 2 is not anti-Mike. I'm a huge Mike guy. And I think I agree with Kevin. Mike's better on the show now because he knows how to do it. He knows what he's doing. Back then, he was still learning. And it was a hard learning curve, but
Yes,
he's
that's the
he's
point.
there.
Was a shell of himself what he is now. Like
What do you mean by that?
so much better now than he was before. It's not even close. I mean,
okay.
If you go and listen to those episodes, you can hear it. He was defensive in a lot of, I mean, just on the, you're learning. It's a hard job. He's great with Kirk. He's the best. Honestly, out of all the people that ever worked with Kirk, he's got to be pretty much the best with him, right? The best pairing.
You're saying when you say he's a shell of himself, it makes him sound like he's
No, I'm saying like he's way better now.
I think you're using that wrong.
I am using it wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm saying
okay.
he's way better now than he was before,
and also
it's great. He's really great right now.
Nobody showed more enthusiasm for this list than Mike, other than maybe me behind the scenes.
That's true.
But I love the enthusiasm. You could lock me in a room with Mike for 10 years and just talk about the list. I'll do it.
Again, that spot is big, for Mike. That's
Mike was enthusiastic about the list and enthusiastic about me not being on the list. So Mike does not like me being on the list, and that's fine.
He had a lot of opinions, which is good.
Yeah, like I said, I think Mike has found his groove. Mike got his groove back.
Yeah, he's been awesome. So to me, it was ever since that producer search is where he's really he just became like he's been great. I mean, ever really since then, he's been unbelievable. So, all right, we'll get to it. I'll start with I don't know how do you want to do this. We'll start with Kevin to Freddie to me. I'll give you first up on the list, Kevin.
What do you want? I thought we were going to do a countdown from like 50 down.
Kevin, this is a show called 3 Up, 3 Down.
just think about your three best picks that were on the list, and then guys that maybe shouldn't be on the list.
Kevin, you can go last, but just pick three people that their stock is up in the world. It doesn't have to do anything with the list.
Okay.
All right. 3 people in the world that their stock is down, and we'll go 1, 1, 1. Like we'll do 3 ups, 1 each, and then 3 downs.
Yeah, stick to the list, Kevin. Don't listen to
anybody.
Don't pick anybody. All right, I'll start first, okay? I'll start them off. My first up, exciting, brand new to the list, which is a great ad, is Shark Minahan. Well-deserving. I think he's pretty much perfectly placed in the list because I'm not gonna disparage this guy, but he kind of does one thing, right? He's really good at it. He's not really anybody on any network. He doesn't really do anything with the networks. Doesn't go on the main show, but he's talked about a lot and he brings a lot to the table. And honestly, behind the scenes, a great guy. And even if he wasn't on the list, I would say he should be on the list. But my guy Shark Minahan, I'm excited he made it. Well deserving. Great job by the committee. I don't know who did. Everybody have Shark on the list, Freddie?
Surprisingly, I actually didn't have Shark in my top 50, but if I had to redo it, I'd put him in there.
Okay.
He was on my list of 10 that made the list that I didn't have, but I would rethink that because I do think Shark deserves a spot. Let's see. He's in the 40s, so no one had him super high.
No, but I think that's good. I mean, I think he's probably happy with that, and he's just a quality guy with a lot of good information. Let me tell you, lots of good information. So that'll be my first pick. You're up, Freddie.
So for my first up, I'll also go with someone that is on the list and is new to the list, and that's going to be Mick. I'm picking him as my up because he's going to be back in studio soon. He's sort of on the upward trajectory weight-wise and show-wise. But in terms of so I don't know if you listened to Beyond Average the other day, but he read the list broke while he was recording.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually read the list live on his show, but he read it only to find out where he was on the list. And once he got to his name, he stopped reading and he said 18. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very funny by Mick. Looking forward to having him back in the studio. I think we're all, no matter what, Mick brings it. So he's my first up.
I wanted to ask you though, is the Menor's one spot before Mick a little symbolic, or he didn't touch that one, did he? Did he didn't mess around with that pick, or?
That's just how it fell.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was kind of cool.
Mick is Mick's a wild card to me because he's the kind of guy Kirk should hate. Kirk should hate Mick. I like Mick. Kirk should hate Mick. The way he acts, the way he is.
His affection for him is very, very interesting.
Fucking weird. It's almost gay.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Very weird.
He loves Mick.
Fine with that. It's just he should be fed up with him. He should be flipping out on him, and he's always like, "Oh, I'm a Mick guy. I love Mick." It's like anybody else, he would have fucking disintegrated. But for some reason, Mick, and maybe he knows secretly that Mick's dying or something, and he feels bad. I don't know what it is, but he is infatuated with Mick, and it's very bizarre. It's very odd.
I like guy, but
Kirk should hate Mick.
And maybe if it was 4 years ago, maybe he would hate him.
I know. It's true. That's true,
right,
Freddy.
Right, exactly. I mean,
burned out with him. There's something there. There's some kind of like I think he said, look like him. He's like my little brother. Whatever it is that he has, he sees in him, and that's what that there has to be some connection because it is a very like I mean, fuck, man. I had to get knocked off the show just so Mick could go on. So hey, no problem. But no, Mick is I love him on the show, so I'm not gonna say, but it is odd, Kevin. I agree.
Mick's entertaining, but sure. By now you think Kirk would have just cut his head off and sent him packing, and he hasn't. And it's amazing that Mick's so resilient. He almost has a bulletproof vest for Kirk.
He does. He takes a lot of breaks, but he's
even like basketball was hysterical. He really he just couldn't do it. The guy was like physically falling apart. And he just kept saying how great he was. It was
great. Good content.
Great.
And to go from not being on the list last year to top 20 this year,
it's pretty good.
That's a hell of a year.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's true. He had a great year. You can't deny that.
Yesterday. He said yes yesterday.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Mick is and he's a great guy. Honestly, you meet him in person, just nice and just I love Mick, but I'm surprised Kirk loves him that much, and I agree with you, Kevin. I am I'm a little shocked by that.
It's weird. You're right. And maybe if Mick did the things he did a few years ago, like you said, he flipped out over something small. He made a big deal out of nothing. He overreacted. I don't know. People have done that before, and they get fucking exonerated from the show. So I don't know. Maybe Kirk's changed. But if it happened, in my time, Kirk, maybe Kirk would be blacklisting him from the show. I don't know. Very.
I think exonerated was the wrong word, but
it was. You're right. Right.
Kevin, the word police.
You're first up.
Excommunicated? I don't know.
That's it.
Yeah. I'm going to say Coleman.
Okay.
I wouldn't think that Coleman would leave the show like he did. Kind of cowardly, kind of
What's up for debate, but yeah.
Tail between his legs. I love Coleman. But he has managed to not only stand the test of time, he's funny on Twitter. He's kind of sticking around. He's keeping his foot in the door. I think Coleman has turned a bad into a good. And I'm happy because I really, really enjoy Coleman. I loved him as producer. I love him in the world. I'm a Coleman fan, and I thought that he would, just die out, and he hasn't. And I think it's good.
It was a great ad. Obviously, he had to go on there. He wasn't on the show really that long when you really think about it.
No,
overall as a producer, but he was the content machine, man. I mean,
it was like 8 or 9 months, maybe.
A good run, but it's like
the Jim Tomey bit.
Yeah,
was incredible. Yeah. I couldn't stop watching it.
And he also brought the basketball, which is a big piece of the show. So I mean, he probably could even be. I don't want to say higher. We won't be crazy here, but.
The legless lady had him at 8. So,
wow.
I'm not going to say who.
8. Okay. Oh, mama. All right. Good pick.
That's why she likes him.
Anything else on Coleman? No.
Coleman's nice to us.
He's also he left the job because he didn't need the job. Like he has no hard stress in that sort of portion of his life. He can just live the salt life.
See, but for me, like someone who's a fan for so long, like I don't need the job. But if I had a chance to go work with Kirk or for Kirk, I would close Just Ducky tomorrow for good and go work in the studio, and it would be my fucking oasis.
And that's why it was so frustrating to see him leave because he had that opportunity.
Right.
It's parallel to the Mutt situation, which we don't need to go down that road.
Menor was calling Just Ducky a toy store, which I thought was It's a little, he went to the toy store. I'm like,
Yeah.
he's made toys in there, but I don't know.
No, there's a few toys. I mean, it's not totally wrong, but yeah. But I don't need a job. I don't. Life is very good. Life is going well. But like I said, someone like a lot of the Minifans, if you had a chance to be part of the show,
sure.
just to walk away because you don't want to do it anymore. It shows too. He wasn't a fan of the show, but he just fit in very well.
There's also, he also saw Gus get run through the mud. And then, the end of the day, he was late for a Saturday, on a Saturday to an amusement park, and he got run through the whole week. He got shit on the whole week. And I think at that point, he probably was wanting to go, and I think it just pushed him over the edge. Kirk, let me ask you this.
So while we're right here, real quick. While we're right here, can you guys hear me? You're freezing up.
I can hear you.
Let's say you're Justin. Yep. Do you make more of an effort to try to get Coleman up
on the show?
No, the day that he went to the no.
That's not
Justin did everything he could.
That's calling Jeff D'Lo was kind of whatever. That was a weird.
They're all adults. He did what he could do.
Justin also rubbed it down, rubbed him into the ground. But that's hey, that's his job. Like, you have to get up. I don't blame Justin for that. I'm accused of that.
Well, I don't blame Justin. I'm just saying,
you got to be up, man. It's crazy.
Could you?
I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have, because I would have called him.
I think in the end, Justin felt bad. He thought it'd be a joke, it would be funny, and in the end, it caused Coleman to leave. I think
Justin stuck with Dave.
I didn't think and Justin likes Dave, but Justin is definitely Dave's underling. Whereas before, I think Justin and Coleman were side by side.
It was a better pairing, I think. I agree with you. My second up, I'm going to go with the whole committee. I honestly think you guys did a overall really good job. It's a very hard list to put together. Nobody's going to ever be the idea. What you don't want, right? You want this discussion. So shows how much people love the show. I think he got it right. I don't know. The one person I kind of was kind of Ned. I understand his reasoning. Freddie Lynn is a home run pick. I also think Mama Kay is a pretty good pick, to be quite honest. She knows a lot about the show, and she's got good opinions. If I had to add somebody else, I'm not exactly who I would have added. I think I wouldn't have kept Ned in. That's just my opinion, but I thought the whole committee, you guys, honestly, I know I take a lot of shots, but it's great discussion. It's a great show. It's an amazing podcast. I know that he's got his haters, but overall, to put a list together over 5 years and try to make everybody happy with it was never going to happen. So, I'm going to give the committee a nice up on this because it's been great content. I've really enjoyed this list, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I think Freddie was a great choice. I do.
Sure.
I think he's like you said. I think you can not like someone and remain unbiased is a big deal. Because the last thing, and Kirk even said, these guys just picking their friends. I don't know if that's the case. I know Ned, I know Mama Kay, but hopefully they wouldn't. I would think they would take it more serious than that. For as serious as you can take a list about being fans of a podcast, but
sure.
I agree.
We know about that. You take that serious. We remember.
Right. I've been messaging Kirk all week. Listen, get me up higher. What the fuck?
You know what? We're just going to ask it right now. Are you going to go in studio, Kevin? He said no. Kevin's welcome anytime. I heard him say it. He said,
"Oh my God, that's just called sarcasm." That's sarcasm.
No, he said Kevin's welcome anytime. He threw it out. I'm going to get the clip. Somebody have to cut it for me, but he definitely said it. It's like
he said it. He's joking. That's a Kirk joke.
Come on. The bit's stupid. Listen, it really is dumb.
Even if I went into let's say I go into studio.
You do a good job, Kevin.
He wouldn't play along with me. It wouldn't be good. He'd be bitter the whole time. When I used to call in and Kirk played along, it was fucking hysterical. The second Kirk decided to hate me, when I'd call in and didn't play along, it was no longer hysterical. So I don't call. I do call though. I call all the time. Just they don't know it's me.
Yeah.
How many different voices? What's the over under? How many different voices have you called in as?
At least 6.
Would we be shocked by one of the people that might be you that nobody would know is you?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like an all-time caller type of.
No. But a regular caller.
Wow.
Yeah. A regular caller. Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm listening to an old episode and I hear some wacky voice, I really got to try to listen hard to see if it's maybe you, because it's hard to detect.
Well, I'm in Kirk's head, and I have no business being there. When he's like 401, who is this? Is it him? Is this Kevin?
Yeah.
He wants so bad to cut it off.
He wants you in so bad. I know
that caller. That caller sounded ducky, didn't he?
Listen, Kirk doesn't want me on the show more than I want to be on the show.
You want to be on the show? It's fun.
No,
you're good at it.
Listen, I didn't even ask. Menor's asked me. I didn't ask to be on the show. I never messaged.
A smart guy.
I never messaged Justin. Menor's kept coming to me, and I was like, no, because I know Kirk won't play along with me, and it'll just suck, And for whatever reason, Kirk says he thinks it's funny. Kirk just doesn't like me, and that's fine. Most people
doesn't like me either. Don't worry.
Yeah, but it's different.
You just go in and you just do it. I mean, trust me, he doesn't like me.
I did.
I know. That's all right.
I did crank phone calls. I did parody songs.
That's right.
He won't accept it, won't listen to them, nothing. Is that funny?
What do you think the main issue is? What happened? Is it just that when you wanted to go into the Hall of Fame, was that what it was, you think? Or that I know you had that time you called up in that crazy rant. I forgot exactly what it was about, but you had that
almost as crazy as a guy like Mick or something like that, right?
It's funny to think about now.
Listen. You can't take it personally, because with a guy like Kirk, you could have caught him at the wrong day in the wrong mood, and like that just is how he's going to think about it.
It wasn't on his call though. I love it.
The funny thing is,
what was it about again, Kevin? Personally.
The funny thing is, I don't, like I said, I don't care to go on the show. If they asked me, I'd probably say sure, I guess. But I mean, I never asked. I never asked to be on the show. I don't care to be on the show. Though I get the win because I get to listen to the show 3 times a week for free, and I fucking love it. It's like it's Kirk's show. If he doesn't want me on, who gives a shit?
Freddy, you smell that bullshit or what? Come on.
No, I think
listen. I never asked. I didn't pester anybody. If they want me on, whatever. I don't think it'll be good because Kirk won't play along with me. When Kirk played along, remember the call with Steve from Providence.
Which one?
And when I was the Willie the mechanic.
Okay.
Willie
I remember that. Yes, I remember that.
When Kirk plays along with me, it's fucking great. But that ended a long time ago, and I've accepted that. Now I just call in. I have a little fun calling in. That's good enough for me. I like doing songs. I like doing parody songs. I'm not gonna go fucking write a song, sing a song, go to studio, record it, and then play it, and Kirk cuts it off. I've written like probably 15 parody songs, and back in the day, my songs were like decent. They're not Steve's a Liar Guy version songs.
No, but you had some good songs. Definitely.
Mike's Off the Show, the Traveling Ice Fishing Show, the Matt Carano to Desperado song show. I've had some good songs. I think I carved my niche in this world already. I don't need to do any more. I don't show up with you guys.
Your resume goes up against anyone's. You don't have to defend it. You're good.
Yeah, that's why I said I never asked to be on the show. Kirk doesn't want me on the show more than I want to be on the show.
He's going to love this segment.
That's a good one. That's what we do it for.
What you do? Hate me more? I mean, go fuck yourself.
No, I don't think so. I'm telling you. I heard him say Kevin's welcome here anytime. To me, he's always literal.
That's not literal. Listen.
All right. Who's up next, Freddy? You're controlling the show.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
One of Kirk's fears is that I would be good, that they would want me back. Oh, yeah.
If you got the praise like Ted Sellers,
I probably wouldn't be good. It's like with basketball. Kirk wouldn't let me be on the basketball team. Listen, I wouldn't have ended the fucking season with zero wins.
That's because Gus said you threw your back out in bowling. I think that's what it was about. I don't know.
No, he just trust me. If I'm on the team, they win at least one game. And I enjoyed going to watch the guys. I watched it streaming. I watched it live. I loved it. Would I have liked to have played?
I did see you there live. That's right. That one time. That's right.
Yeah, but I mean,
it was fun.
I think it would be Kirk's biggest nightmare if I played and I was great. His biggest nightmare. It's the last thing he wants. And that's
All
fine.
right. Where are we, Freddie? I'm lost
I
now.
think it's
Kevin went on a big
my
rant.
second
We got it
up.
out there. Oh, go ahead. You're up.
Yeah, my turn. My second up. Before I do my second up, your up was the committee,
The cold
and
committee.
you gave a lot of praise, whatever. But like, you said I was a perfect pick. Fine, thank you. But I'll just say this: there's like 1,000 other guys just like me that just love the show, and they're making lists in their spare time, and they're just obsessed with it.
Where are they? Do they
I
have
ju-
them out? I'll bring
Let
them
me
on.
fucking finish, Kane.
Okay, go ahead.
I just happened to go, on a stream a couple times, so people knew the name. So then I got picked for the thing. There's 1,000 other me's out there, so like, thank you, appreciate it. But there's so many hardcore fans that people don't even know about. So, they're the
Just
real
say the
MVP.
fucking pick, Freddie. Nobody cares.
Yeah, don't play yourself down, Freddie.
Don't
play
worry,
yourself
Freddie.
down.
Don't listen. You
You're a
get
hell
some
of a
good
slouch.
praise from some big Menor fans, man. I
My
trust
second-
in the process. Go ahead.
My second up is Cinema Lords.
Oh wow.
Cinema Lords
okay,
did
go ahead.
not make the list,
Mm-hmm.
but he
It's
is my
crazy.
up because of how passionate he was that he was pissed about not making the list. I
Tried
thought
to get
that
him
was
on
great
tonight.
to see. And just a sort of bracket side conversation about cinema and him not making the list. When I released my 10 people that I did not have on the list, that also included Pat Ford, Beanbag Ron, and John M. Warren. So yes, Cinema was the only basketball player that didn't make the list, but he wasn't on my list, and neither were those guys either. So it was nothing personal. I thought in the pantheon of the history of the KMS show, those guys, they just didn't make my list. It's a 5-year show. Basketball season was 6 games, and I do understand that it drove a lot of conversation on the show, but put that over the span of 5 years, and I think there are other people like a Joe Curtatone or
You think Joe Curtatone drove more conversation in the basketball?
than an individual player.
Sure. I get
Cinema. It's fucking great.
So that's my message to Cinema. Like, there's nothing personal. Like, I love his passion for not being picked, and hopefully, maybe going forward he will be. He's great on the show. He's great on the network. I'm a Cinema guy.
He drove an hour both ways in cargo shorts and played basketball. That's pretty fucking good. I like Cinema a lot.
So to have Pat Ford at 34, let's just say, for example, we're going off the course here, but so that means, did you have Pat Ford on your list? You didn't. You just said,
He was
right?
outside of my top 50. Someone had Pat Ford at 23.
23.
Someone on the committee thought Pat Ford was the 23rd most influential figure in the history
Wow.
of the Kirk Minahan show.
Okay, was she legless?
No comment.
Okay. What about the other list? Where they have them? Do you have that or no? Just curious.
The person. So someone had them at 23. You're saying, where did the other person have them?
Yes.
Lower. Probably in the 40s.
Okay. All right. So where are we now? Kevin's on his second pick?
Correct. Second up for Kevin. We gotta
pick it up.
It's gonna be a 3-hour show.
Yeah. I'm gonna say one that's probably not popular, but I'm gonna say Mama K.
Okay.
Here's the thing about Mama K. Nobody takes more slings and arrows, and she never stops. She keeps being a fan. Nothing really knocks her down, and she's going to be on the show now. I mean, she's just and it's one of those things where
you're welcome, Mama K.
You can make fun of her.
Kane, don't take credit for Mama K getting on the show. You loser.
Her skin is as thick as her toenails. I mean, she Jesus Christ, she can hang. And a lot of girls can't hang. You bust girls' balls, and well, I'm not being sexist, but for whatever reason, they take it to heart more than guys do. More than someone like even me or Mick does. I mean, for the most part, there are girls who've left the world and they're gone. And here's Mama K, who takes it
from a rare bird.
I mean, sometimes the Minifan world can just run.
I said she's tougher than 70% of the guys on this world. She's less sensitive than 70% of the people in the world.
I mean, and yeah, Does she like a Chardonnay every now and then? I guess so. But I mean, besides
That's what
that,
we want. Get
she
on here
has,
and
you
spill
know?
the guts, you know?
Yeah.
Great
So,
pick.
my comment on that is she's a very, very nice person,
Yo, definitely.
a great fan, a tough follow on Twitter.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, who'd you vote for? Kamala?
That's not
Okay,
not
I'm
political.
I'm just
Kane.
curious. Just curious. All right. Who's up next?
Christ.
Me? We gotta move this along.
Because
Kane's third.
Mama is very Mama Trump these days.
Kane's third up.
All right. I would go with Montante, but I'm not, I love Montante. Hopefully we can get him on here soon. I'm gonna go with the Menors right before Mick. You said it wasn't symbolic. To me, it kind of is. It's kind of funny. Menors has had a great ride. Obviously, he belongs on the list. He's never been on the show. He did a Menors show in the studio. He technically wasn't on the show, but his contributions are noted. Like he's just he's somebody that all the Menor fans, I think he's been talked about probably the most. I just find it funny that he was ahead of Mick when Mick has had epic events in that studio. I thought it was a Menors move, just putting him one spot ahead. I kind of wished it was, but I'm gonna go with it. I enjoyed it. I'm also gonna give a shout out to Montante to making that top 10. I know they were kind of slandering him on the show a little bit and saying it was ridiculous, and I understand that kind of thinking, but if one Menor fan is gonna be up there, it's gonna be him. To me, is the best on the show. I've gone back and forth with this. I'm a big Steve from Gloucester guy, but for me, Montante at this point is somebody that's
Why are you? He's not your pick. Why are you talking about him?
I don't know. I just want to give it to him. I just want to give him a shout out because I like Montante. But I'm gonna go with the Menors over Mick. Sorry, guys.
All right. So your pick was Menors.
That's it.
It's
Someone
Menors. He loves Montante.
Someone on the committee had Menors at number 10 on the list. Someone else on the committee had Menors at number 12 on their list.
Where'd you have him?
Just let that sink in. Lower than that.
Okay.
That's high. Maybe to even it out a little bit.
I think if Menors was in America, he'd be less a part of the show.
Wow. That's a wild take. I would
his Australian status.
That's true. His accent
makes
too.
him stronger. What he has to. He's come here. I mean, all the work he does for the show from across the world is very impressive.
He told a wild story the other night how he went on a date with, what was the girl? 19 or something? 17? I don't know. She was young.
Jesus
He's
Christ,
like somebody so the waiter asked or somebody asked, is this your daughter? And that's, when you take a girl out after, that's not what you want to hear. So that was a wild story by Menors.
Yeah. Yes, that was a month-old story, and it was wild when he said it a month ago.
A month? It wasn't a month ago. I just heard the clip. Okay. Sorry.
He did repeat the story recently.
Okay, there you go. See?
So it's my third up.
Good stories are worth repeating.
My third up is Montante. Kane's already spilled everything he wants to talk about it. But again, was he? Let's see.
Need some help?
So he was not new this year. He was on the list last year, but he went in at 9. I had him a little lower than that, but he's had a hell of a year. And it's not just he was in the producer race. Mm-hmm. He was a third chair before the producer race.
Yep.
It turns out during the producer race, we found out he can't produce, but he's great as a third chair. So he kept coming in as a third chair, and he had a hell of a year. The golf tournament went off without a hitch. He might be the favorite for Minifan of the Year. So I think he's had a hell of a year.
He also brought in the sponsor, which is, it's a piece.
Yeah.
Fucking give it to him. Interrupt us. Jesus Christ, Kane.
I like interrupting you because you get under my skin, Freddy. So I always got to give it a little back. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's my third up.
There we go. All right.
That's good. I mean, Montante is one of those universally liked guys. The geeks, the jocks, the dweebs, everybody likes him. No matter who you are, you get along with Montante for some reason. Yeah, that's a good
Unless
call.
you vote for Kamala, then you don't. That's the line.
Not a lot of Minifans voting for Kamala, though.
That's true. All right, my first down.
Nope.
No Miltons.
Nope.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I get one more up.
All right. Well, I want to go with Miltons.
Let's see. At least someone's paying attention.
I'm pointing to you, Bagel Boss.
Close to the show.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
give Kane. I'm gonna give Kane my third up.
Wow.
This is a guy who gets beat on constantly,
Constantly.
made fun of, and
It's easy to do.
He has shows. He doesn't stop. He's bullying his way onto the show, onto the main show.
Got a beautiful girlfriend. You can't leave that
The fuck,
right?
Who cares?
Have her get over here. Take your top off.
Yeah, no, we'll keep her a secret because these guys are vultures in that troll chat. You gotta watch out for those
I'm
guys.
sure he's very handsome. No, your stick-to-itiveness, in the face of constant bashing, it's
true.
It's impressive, and it's one of those things that a lot of Minifans, if you're going to be in the limelight, you have to be able to take it, and you can take it. Just like Mama K. You take a lot of shit, and at the same time, you provide content. I think you give both sides. I think you're not afraid to go against the stream, go against the Minifans, go against Kirk. And that's a good thing. That's a needed piece that
Freddy's
a lot
about
of
to throw up.
Minifans
You're right.
don't want
You're
to do.
holding
You don't
down,
want to
Freddy.
go against Kirk. You do it. It's good.
I appreciate it, Kevin. It's not easy. It's not easy being the most hated Minifan.
You're not the most hated.
I'm up there. Buddy. Listen, I'm never gonna change, so I am who I am. You come on, you try to do the best you can, and when you have bad shows like I did yesterday, and some guy comes on and lies to me and says they're Andy Mayo's best friend, you gotta try to pivot. And
that was gonna be a big fish you had.
Yeah. When you get called out by the main guy, it happens. But you gotta.
You were on the main show and you kind of blew.
I sucked. First time was bad.
But you persevered. Now you're going back. It's
time's a charm. I got some.
Your efforts are appreciated. You're good. We appreciate.
Hey, Mayo sucks every time when he keeps going on. So I mean, whatever.
Oh God, I'm so disappointed. I was so sad yesterday because this is what Freddy doesn't get. He thinks it's not a big fish, but what you don't understand is like if I have Mayo's best friend on, again, that just bothers Mayo. That's what makes me happy. You understand? If he's like, oh, fucking Kane's got this guy on. What's he gonna ask him? That's what I like. All right, Freddy, I'm gonna move on for you because I know you don't like this conversation. So, first down, no Miltons is shameful. Honest to God, I understand. I've heard your reasoning, so we're not gonna go beat it down because we're gonna try to get out of here. But I think like overall, it's just an insane take. You have to have them on. You had them on the list. What were they on the list last year? They were like in the top 10, right? And then to fall off the list,
top 10. Yeah,
I can't imagine. So maybe you can enlighten us because you have the list. Did everybody leave Miltons off the list?
Yes, they weren't on anybody's list
because they fit the criteria. Which, if you say it that way, it makes some sense.
I guess.
Like you could say, should Bill from Miltons be on the list?
There you go.
I would say no because he, or maybe yes. I don't know. Have it up for discussion, but a store, an inanimate object, is not going to make my list.
Again, the criteria is you're just going by people. I think Miltons has a huge impact on the show. So I guess it's just a philosophical difference, I guess. But
yeah, because Miltons has been the one constant, that hasn't changed. Mike's come and gone, Dave's come and gone, Steve's come and gone, but Miltons has been the one. Miltons, the store for men.
And I will Mama K suggested that we would have the list be sponsored by Miltons because they weren't on the list. So maybe the KMS Top 50 presented by Miltons.
That's not bad. Yeah.
There you go. The Tim and Canton Minifan of the Year, the Miltons KMS Top 50.
It's a good compromise. That makes it easier. So that'll be my first down. Freddy.
All right, first down. I'm gonna go Cullinane, and I don't have any there's no crazy reason. I did think it was wild that he thought that Tony Maserati should have been considered for the list. His reasoning was that Kirk got the #1 radio personality to apologize 5 times. In reality, it's been 2 or 3. So, okay, that drove the conversation on the show for 15 minutes, 2 or 3 times. There's no world where that should ever make him a candidate for the list for the history of the 5 years of KMS.
Yeah, go ahead.
He said that today on the producer show that he's got a whole list of new studios and all that stuff because a Minifan that's a real estate broker got him the list. Like, that's nice. I'm glad for that. Like, but he's just not doing the legwork. Just like 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Kirk said they wanted to leave the studio, he didn't do any legwork then. He I'm not gonna rip into him too much, but like,
Why not?
He's just
Why
got
not?
this
Why don't you go on the
history.
show and do this? Where
He's
do you
got a
live, Freddie? Actually,
Jesus
where do you
Christ.
live? Is it Connecticut?
No,
New Hampshire, right?
no. What the fuck?
What's your apartment number?
How far? No, how far do you live from the studio? I'm just curious.
I
Kane's
live
gonna
out
show up wherever you are. Kane will show up and he will watch you.
Anytime we're bashing Dave, we got to get that in the studio.
I
So-
live out of state. It's an 8-hour drive to get to the
Okay,
Boston area.
8 hours.
And I have
All
a
right, that's
full-time
fine, that's
job.
fine.
Like,
That's
I've
far.
been
8
invited.
hours
Menors
is far.
tried to book me on the show. It just doesn't
I didn't know it
work.
was 8 hours.
So it's just not going to happen. So again, thank you for interrupting. I think I
ahead.
was just saying that, Cullinane didn't do the legwork. He didn't do it then. He didn't do it now. Like, and that's okay, but it's still worthy of criticism. So like, I don't have any crazy reason for him to be a down, but those are my reasons.
Yeah, the song.
But like, no, wait, like,
Davis
no,
is-
no, no, no. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
covers.
no, 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 no. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, no, 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 no.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you got to weigh that off with Doe-Eyed Dave had Karen Reed hand feeding him steak. I mean, I'm not sure if anything could bring that guy down. He doesn't do a lot for the show, but he lives in
Everybody
a
thinks
different
about
world,
more than
man.
themselves than Dave. Yeah, Dave loves himself. So yeah, interesting, Freddie. No, I didn't know you hated Dave so much. Got an ally. I don't hate Dave. Actually,
I don't hate anybody.
No,
I just want him
Dave's,
to be
Dave's
better.
unhateable. Dave's unhateable.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. Can't hate the guy.
It's like
He's always
hating
nice
a
to me,
baby
so.
deer. You can't hate a baby deer. That's what Dave is. So is it my down?
Your first
got it.
down.
It's not really a down, but I feel like I'm gonna give my first down to Greg Poehler.
Okay.
I love Greg on the show. Love. I
Very
feel like
good on the show.
since the political stuff came up, he is kind of shied away. It's like I feel like he thinks to himself, this KMS world is.
He did do the debate though, so I mean,
He did it, and it was great. But I feel like he has just slunk away from being part of everything, like he was for a while. For a
It's gonna be a
while
rough
there,
night for him.
when he would show up, when he would chime in on things, I love his sense of humor. I love him on the show. I love his different approach than Kirk. He's quiet. He's calm. I love him, but I feel like he's slinking away now, and I think it's sad that it's because of I think it's because of politics, which is fucked up. Because I mean, I don't care about anybody's politics or their sex or whatever it is, but I mean, I feel like Greg is shrinking right now, and
especially
I feel
when they live in Sweden, right? I mean,
well, I think Montante. Everyone took Montante's side, and I think Greg was like, "What the fuck?" I guess no one in this world, likes me, and he slunk away. And
Well, I'm a big
I
Greg
think
guy. I
he'll
love
bounce
him,
back.
yeah.
He's in show business. I think under it all, he'll have thick skin about it. I think
he's
he'll be
very
back.
good on
I
the
hope
show.
so.
Yeah,
Once,
natural.
once he gets over losing the election and all that stuff, I think
Yeah, exactly.
he'll be okay.
That's all.
He said if Trump wins, he's moving out of Sweden.
All right, I'm up next.
Second up for Kane.
This one's gonna hurt me to do. I gotta do it though.
Second down, man.
Yes,
Second
my
down. Sorry.
Second down. I'm not sure, and first of all, I'm from the town where Kevin's from, but I can't believe Mayo's behind him. Just in show impact in general, Mayo has driven a lot of conversation. So is Kevin, but I just don't think Mayo should be behind Kevin. I don't know. Maybe this will be up for debate, whatnot, but how does that happen? I was shocked, and I would
So
like
your
to get an
down
explanation
is-
from the.
Your down is placement on the list.
Yes, it is actually. Yes.
Not a
I mean, I just don't
person.
understand how that. I mean, somebody looks at this list and says, "All right, Mayo's 33," and again, I'm a big Kevin guy, but
Yeah.
never been on the show. Mayo has driven a ton of conversation, whether you like it or not. Terrible shows, in and out. He's done a ton of stuff on the show. I mean, he just has been part of the show. Done videos for shows, live shows. Been part of those shows that they did that were kind of wacky. Just been more part, I think, than Kevin. And to be below on the list is, I don't know. I thought it was a little, and
Kane.
trust me, I don't want to defend Andy, but I'm going to do it here.
I think that's a horrible pick. I've laughed more at some of Kevin's calls into the show than I can remember Mayo doing anything ever. Like
Yeah.
Mayo's always been around.
What show? What calls are you talking about? Because do we know they were Kevin?
The old Dorian Hungwell calls,
Okay.
the mechanic calls, like I can name them. And I laughed my nuts off. Like Mayo's always been around, but he's never like there aren't great show moments that you can tie to Andy Mayo.
There's definitely show moments you can
Name them.
That's a good. You're gonna put me on the spot. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the Mayo
it,
thing
Kane.
is like the hate and boredom of Mayo makes Mayo a topic. You know?
Yeah. I think if you pulled 100 Minute fans, it would be a 80-20 in favor of Mayo. If they had sodium pentothal and didn't do it because they don't like the guy.
In favor of Mayo, what? Being higher
being
on the list?
ahead of Kevin on that list is show impact.
That would be
I would say it'd be at least 80-20.
You might have recency bias there. Maybe that's a little, that's a big term being thrown around. But I mean, yeah, Mayo's been.
Want to take back your up, Kevin? Sorry.
These days, Kane's also my fucking down.
Listen, you got to get on the show, and I'll change my vote. But I just thought it was. I think if you just asked most people, I just think that's what it would be. But
that's fair. That's fair.
Just my pick. Freddy's not going to like it. So how about we go to the list? Can you give us where people had? Does anybody have Mayo ahead of Kevin on their list?
Let's see. Mayo. I had Mayo ahead of Kevin on my list. I had Mayo at 29, and I had Kevin at 33.
He's made an argument for me being ahead of Mayo. You son of a bitch, Freddy.
There you go. Thank you, Freddy. Appreciate that. That was nice. I'll take the win on that. A W. All right. Who's next? I'm not here to bash people.
Yeah, that's too much work. What? My second down. Yeah.
Yep. You are
up. My second down is gonna be Mutt.
That's a softball.
Mutt just outside of the top 10. Some people had Mutt at 6. Some people had Mutt. Actually, some people had Mutt at 23. Some people had Mutt right where he was supposed to be, but Mutt at 11. I think Mutt is great on the show. We all love Mutt.
23, huh? Wow.
Someone had Mutt at 23.
Yeah. Is he shortened from Australia or? Just curious.
Are you retarded? List, right? Menors didn't make a list.
I'm sorry, I forgot. How could somebody have Mutt at 23?
Do you listen?
I do.
Menors didn't make a list.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Mutt, rough year. Had a fucking job at Barstool, declined it. Now he's doing this stupid shit with Aton that's about to be over. He's gonna, keep doing it. Good for you, Mutt. That's fine. Like, I'm not going to criticize, but it's tough. It's a tough look. It's a tough year. It's been beat to death, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but that's my second down.
Yeah, it's you're right. It is tough. It's like another bad decision by Mutt, who's so lovable, who's so likable, who's so good when he works with Kirk, and he had the chance. You're right. He had the chance to be part of something that fit him. He could be part of Dave's Barstool racing, gambling horse team, and he fucking threw it away for what he's doing right now. And it breaks my heart because I root for Mutt, but I think he makes bad decisions, that's just part of his life. It's part of the humor.
We can lay out the job right now.
God, is it funny for the show?
He takes a job at Barstool. He goes on Kirk's show twice a week. He takes his Mutt stack and he just turns those into blogs. And then he does some racing, and nobody ever bothers him again. It's just it's a story that doesn't make any sense. So I think Kirk was right.
You could have a pod with Elio called Mutt and the Iceman, and it comes out, every
it's
once
so
a month.
dumb that Kirk is right. It's the guy's just got something like there's just something there that is unexplainable.
But he's also a huge he's great on the show. We love him. Yeah. He's also a huge fan of the show. Like he goes deep.
Oh yeah.
Like he
for sure.
He follows everything.
He is a fan, but yeah, I don't know. Kind of a Freddie Lynn lazy pick, but I'm sorry. All right, who's up next?
Me.
Me?
Wait, hold on, Kane. You're picking like spots on the list, not people. So like,
I'm making
don't call
good
my
argument.
list.
Like nobody's gonna
Every
pick
time-
that. Nobody's gonna
Every
go with
show
that.
you're
pick.
on, you pick inanimate objects. You pick a bridge.
I do a
you pick
lot of
fucking
shows. It's
airport.
hard. It's tough.
Well, Freddie, you did agree with his points, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know how
Exactly.
crazy-
This guy
But I
fucking
think
has
it's
it on
a
the list
bad-
by the way I made the point. Idiot. Guy,
Kevin,
who's
you're
next?
second down.
Good job, Kevin.
So I'm going to say Big Cat,
Okay.
a guy that universally is loved and revered, and obviously something happened on Surviving Barstool, but I mean, he has done nothing to whether it's instigate Kirk's hate or quell Kirk's hate. He's just done nothing, just disappeared. Here's a guy who's big on the list. All the Minifans love him, and he's done nothing positive or negative, since Kirk said they weren't close anymore or something happened. I mean, just nothing. And he's a guy that can say one or two things and get the whole world buzzing. And he's just done nothing since this, and maybe they're just saving it all for when that comes out. But I mean, you could play along a little bit and do something, whether it's, to tell Kirk that he's wrong or that he's right, but nothing, just nothing from Big Cat, who was once, a bit of a part of the show, and now he's just gone.
It's true.
So you agree?
I don't even know if he's. I'm not really sure what the impact exactly is with him on the show, to be honest. I mean, I don't know.
Well, he
So
just
in the first like 2.5, 3 years of KMS, he used to call in regularly. He was on the show all the time. He was like even
Never really cross pollinated though, It never really mended, I don't know.
he was
And
also,
one not like a Whitney. Whitney, I feel like is more like a guy that kind of like became part of the show a little more. Not really. Dan was kind of, he didn't really want Kirk on his show, and then he finally brought him on. But I don't know.
I
give you a peek
thought
behind the
Big
curtain.
Cat was a sneaky fan.
Big Cat was a closet Minifan for a while.
Yeah.
When we had our cumulative list, Big Cat did not make the top 50.
Okay.
Menors
Interesting.
said you have to have Big Cat in there. Put Big Cat at 40. That was a Menors edict.
Wow.
Did he give a reasoning? Just curious. I don't know if did he say why or
No, just Menors edict. Put him
interesting. Fucking tyrant, huh?
Kowtowing to the Barstool brand.
in. One of the few. He didn't do that a lot, but that was one of them.
Yeah.
Any others you can mention? I think you mentioned Dale Arda moved some spots or whatever. Or?
He moved. He switched a few people. Nothing crazy.
Okay. Who's next? Kevin?
No, Kevin just went. So Kane, it's your third down.
All right. I think it's honestly like I'm gonna throw it out there. We could go through a million other people, but Steve from Gloucester behind Nipples, BA, Wriggles. I don't want to go sneakers, but I mean, even if you say Pat Ford, how is he below those guys? I'm not even fucking kidding. Steve, if you I understand like it's a small block of time, but in that small block of time, it's still using the same argument with Coleman. He was a huge piece of the show. You're trying to tell me that Steve from Gloucester should be behind fucking Nipples? That's crazy.
Part of a live show.
He's lucky to be on
Nuts.
the list. God damn it.
Do you have him on your list, Freddie?
He was not on my list.
That's insane.
Check my tweet. Look at my tweet, please.
I'm not gonna. It's insane. To have Nipples on the list and not Steve from Gloucester is shameful.
The
You guys
history of the
should be
show is
embarrassed.
5
You guys
years
should be
long.
fucking embarrassed of yourselves. Honestly.
Okay,
That's
where would he
insane.
be on? Where would he be on your list?
I don't know where it would be on my
20?
list because I didn't write it out. But what I'm
10?
saying is, what impact has BA had on the show? I'm not trying. I like BA, but
He wasn't on my list either.
okay, he shouldn't be on the list, right? Beanbag Ron, I'm gonna give you. Nipples, no. Ziggy Robinson, honestly, should have been on the committee. 46 for him is even kind of whatever, but like Steve behind John and Warren is insane. I love John. John's my favorite Minifan. Maybe besides John is one of my favorite guys. That's insane. Steve had way more impact than John. I mean, it's just not even.
Kane,
This is what I. Go ahead,
John. If you're watching, you're supposed to be getting me a new CPAP machine. So come on, John. Get the fucking wheels moving. I need a new CPAP. John sells, medical goods, and I'm struggling to sleep without John helping me out. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm just saying. I just think these guys hate Steve. So I mean, the only legless woman. Probably who had him the highest. I'm gonna go with Mama K.
Steve from Gloucester. Yeah, Mama K had him at 31.
There you go, Mama K. Good job.
Head of me and mail. Kane,
head
of me and mail. You know what? Mama K, stock down. I changed my mind. Fuck that bitch.
Jesus.
Kevin.
Oh my God, that was bad.
When we originally submitted our lists, now I'm really pulling the curtain back. You were not on Mama K's list.
Wow.
She had to be reminded to put you on there.
Wow.
Elmo does not like her toes.
Oh, that is disrespectful. All the times you drove her out to wherever you had to go for live shows, that's not nice.
That's okay. Listen,
I know, that's right.
I was shocked to still be on the list, to be honest with you. I think back in the day,
fair, someone like Steve from Providence really fell off.
Mm-hmm.
You're still around. You're still.
I've never left.
That's my point.
I'm just blacklisted.
Yeah. Where were we?
You're next, Freddy, right? Or Kevin, or get one each, I think, left, and get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Your last down was Steve from Gloucester's placement on the list.
Yes.
Okay.
Very
My
bad.
last down. No animosity towards him. I don't hate him. He did what he did for a reason. I think it was not the best thought out thing, but Menors, the way he dropped the list, didn't give us a warning. I think it was just a sensitive move. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was all planned out that way the whole time. But if we just had a reveal show, we could have answered all those questions up front. Because he just dropped it the way he did, they had questions on the main show that are some questions, they're not going to watch this for an hour and 15 minutes. So some questions will never get answered. So, no animosity, but it's Menors for the way he dropped the list.
I mean, that's fine. But dropping the list the way he did also made news. But here's my thing about the list. If it were me, and it's already been done now twice, the list, I would say a roundtable live show doing a live list. You see it worked out in real time.
If there's someone that can control the structure.
Yeah.
Because that'll turn into a clusterfuck real quick.
That's true. But that'd be the next, iteration down the road, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Menors did it completely right. I mean, in the end of the day, everybody's talking about it. It's gotten main buzz. Mama K is going to go on. They won't see everything from this show, but those producers will definitely catch some of it, and hopefully it generates a little more buzz. But I understand that you're frustrated. If I was in your position, I'd probably be frustrated. But for me, watching that whole clusterfuck happen was very entertaining.
I'm over it. I was frustrated for a minute, but I'm over it.
I get that, and I
know
understand
he's got
from your
reasons
point
for
of view,
why he did it, and it's totally understandable. So
it was a good move.
We're good.
Somebody understands content. He understands what he's doing. He's unbelievable CEO. Great behind the scenes. Menors is a guy behind the scenes that everybody thinks he's like this, whatever. Behind the scenes and working with him has been a dream. He's awesome. So I'm gonna give it to him.
You guys, little fingers and everything. I understand Freddie being upset. You put all that time into a list. A reveal show would have been a nice way to delve it out.
Definitely.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I rewatched last year's reveal show, and it was wild, and they the comment section was going crazy. People were going nuts. It just had a lot of buzz that was built up. And this year, that just sort of got taken away.
That's true.
Yeah.
Is that all the downs?
No, Kevin, one more down.
One more for Kevin.
He's one of my guys. He would be bowl the next section over for me, Gus.
Okay.
I feel like even though Gus is doing the job thing, he has such opportunity to still have his toes into the show and he was supposed to go to Chicago, all this stuff. It never happened. He really hasn't gone anywhere, and he hasn't managed to have be more of a factor.
Sure.
He does his post with his thing. I'm like, here's a guy who wants to have podcasts, wants to do gaming with Gus and all this stuff. And I feel like
still waiting.
And even Kirk's like, come on the show whenever you want. You don't hear much from Gus besides him delivering packages, and I feel like that's a miss for him. I feel like that his chances is dwindling. You only
maybe
get
that's what he needs. Maybe he needs that package job that can actually he can just put his head down and deliver packages. Maybe he doesn't want to get into the podcasting anymore.
I don't think he does.
Maybe you're right. I thought for a guy that wanted to be part of something, he could be doing videos on the road. He could be calling in. He could be he just kind of stopped and he's just doing work. Maybe he can't do more than one thing at a time. Maybe that's what it is.
I'll put it this way: he seems happy.
It's true.
He's always happy. He's special.
He does seem happy.
It is hilarious, though. I think someone said it about backstage with Gus at the election special or the debate special. They were like, Gus, you could be doing the same thing for the mail, like for the USPS, and like get a pension and get like benefits and stuff. And he's like, nah, I smoke weed all day. I can't do that. So that was funny.
Funny, but I agree with Kevin on this. I think
missed opportunities left and right.
He is. I think he has that. Like he could have probably figured something out, but he just kind of blew his chance on the show. To be quite honest, I mean, he had
0.0 chance he ends up in Chicago.
No question. That's not happening.
Yeah, I think that ship has sailed. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll prove it's wrong, but not yet.
Any final thoughts? Anything you want to get off our chest? Anything?
Any lingering questions about the process, about the list, about placement? Who had who where? How did someone end up where? You tell me.
Well, we know it was cumulative, unless Menor's went in and adjusted stuff, and there wasn't much adjustment, you said. So it kind of makes sense. I mean, I think there's people on the list that should be. Even, I guess MHB is one of those kind of controversial figures who I think gets a little more praise than for what he actually brought to the show. But
yeah, MHB and DEC both, I think they were integral way back in the beginning.
More EEI in a way, kind of, right?
Between EEI and the Kirk Minahan show, they kind of held the fort for a time.
They were like the linchpin of the fandom between the two shows.
But they were a network show.
At the same time, you have DEC who got so offended by having a show dedicated to him because he was a cunt and he went away. And now he tries to sneak back in every now and then, but not much of an effort. Then really. MHB, who I always loved, who kind of drifts in and out, not really a huge fan, but he comes in every now and then. But there's a flock of people who never waver.
True.
I think DEC for me, DEC should be number 50 on the list every year.
That's fair.
Just barely
symbolic. That's how I was thinking about sneakers in a way. Just a symbolic kind of because I mean he really hasn't. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about sneakers. You'll end up.
Sneakers had a really good call a couple weeks ago.
Really good.
So wow. he asked what the producers were doing instead of doing the Across America thing.
Yeah.
And their answer was we were figuring out a green screen for the election coverage.
That's funny.
How'd that work out?
That's true. That's a good call. I gotta give it to him.
That when he picks his spots, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, because he listens to he scrutinizes every second of every show.
Fucking super fan.
But I love the people that get offended by him. He stirs the juices. Sneakers.
It is funny too. I don't know how often you look at the comments section on the YouTube when the show is live.
Oh, but it's great
to see Sneakers shitting on the show and someone that is newer in the comment section. They're like, "Well, why are you watching?"
Yeah.
Brother, you don't know what you're getting yourself into here.
It's so true. It's so true. We've all been there. I mean, I've been there, so I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird initiation process trying to figure out who these guys are, but
it's so entertaining You know,
Yeah.
if you don't watch the chat during the show, you're missing out because I mean, Sneakers is orchestrating that chat.
He's
And
good.
you're right. It's funny because people that don't know what he's about, I go back and forth with him, and it is like you're going right into his web. It's so good.
I have popped into that chat once or twice. It's something.
Yeah, we've seen you
Yeah.
in there once or twice, I'm sure. That's about it. All right, we're gonna get out of here. Great episode, I think. Hopefully,
Freddie Kane, it was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
guys.
coming
Always
on,
a pleasure.
Kevin. Hopefully, see you soon on the main show, Freddie.
Oh, I'll be there very soon, I think.
Freddie, hope I see you on the main show too. I know it's an 8-hour drive or whatever, but
I'll come pick you up, Freddie. I don't mind driving 8 hours.
anyway, thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you.
Weekend.